Hello guys, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes po, sir. Rinig po.
Okay, thank you very much. So, nice to see you again, guys. You're the same group, right? With the last week, right? So I need to speak in English again because we have here. What do we have here? Is she here? So you know, what's her name again? She and Len. She's here, so I need to speak in English again. Okay. Sige. So again, I am Raymond Colonel Maniago, and today we will be talking about nursing research. Okay, so we will have our 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours for nursing research, and we're going to have a post test if we finish early. Again, if we don't finish early, you will have your post test take home. Okay? Sige. Happy Saturday sa ating lahat. If you're ready, then we will now start. Nursing research. Guys, is it important for us to perform nursing research? Us nurses, do we have to do research? Us nurses, yes or no? Do you think we need to do research? Siyempre, di ba? Kaya nga natin pinag-uusapan ngayon, di ba? So research is very important. Now, why? Later we will find out. But today we will first define what research is. Research, guys, is a systematic and disciplined investigation. Again, it is a systematic and disciplined investigation. What does it mean if it is systematic? Okay? When you say systematic, it means that it has a step-by-step process. Okay? Do you remember your research when you were in college? Okay? There is a step-by-step process to it, right? So we don't just automatically conclude. Okay? Before concluding something, we have to first undergo chapter 1, introduction, chapter 2, review of literature, chapter 3, methodology, chapter 4, data collection and analysis. So it has a step-by-step process. And, okay, you also have to be disciplined. What does it mean to be disciplined? It means that, okay, it means that you are committed to the process. Whatever process it is to do the research, you have to be committed to it. Okay? Committed to the process. Okay? So that's your research. It is a step-by-step process and you have to be committed to it. Okay? Of course, it's an investigation. Investigation of what? To know the truth. Okay? To know the truth. Next. Now, of course, every profession has research. Okay, engineering has research, medicine has research, dentistry, whatever, medtech, physical therapy, pharmacy, whatever profession, every profession has research. Why? Okay? Because that's how you build knowledge by performing research. Okay? So when you're asked, what is the purpose of nursing research? You develop evidence. Question. If somebody told you something, for example, a friend told you, oh, use this product because it's effective. For example, use this whitening product because it's effective. Do you believe yes or no? Do you believe yes or no? A friend said, okay, use this product because it is very effective to me in whitening my skin. So is it pagmahal? Pagmahal mo? Pagmahal mo, paniwalaan mo? Hindi. So, do you believe? Parang, uy, oo nga, gamitin ko rin yan. Sabi, nakakaputi daw talaga yan. Wow. So, do you do that? Yes or no? Saan na kayo? Wait lang. So, medyo yung mga estudyante natin ngayon, medyo ano, no? Medyo inaantok ata. Inaantok po? Inaantok pa tayo? Wala sumasagot sa akin eh. Ay, ayaw atang maging USRN. Naku, ayaw ata eh. Ayaw ba? Ayaw atang mag-USRN eh. Gusto ayaw? Gusto pala eh. Sagot. So do you believe if somebody told you something like take this supplement, take this vitamin, use this product, just because they said it? No, no. Okay? You want to first ask where is the evidence? Is it really effective? Ask. Okay? Yan tayo mga nurse. We first ask before believing. Okay? Just because some celebrity told you this is effective doesn't mean it is really effective. Okay? So, ganun din sa research. Okay? We have to first, before doing it in practice, we first ask ourselves, is it true? Right? Is it backed up by evidence? Because what happens if you do something in the practice that is not backed by evidence? It could be harmful to the patient, right? It could be harmful. So you don't just do something in nursing practice just because somebody told you. It's very harmful. So first, you want to develop evidence, and you can do that by performing nursing research. So what is the goal? The goal now is to improve quality of life. Because if you do something to the patient that is based on evidence, you know that it is safe. And if you know that it is safe, you know that it will improve the quality of life of the patient. So you do not want to do harm. You do not want to do harm. You want to do good. You want to improve the patient status. And therefore, you want to improve the quality of life. Okay? Sige, so medyo tahimik tayo ngayon. Walang sumasagot? Okay. Sige. Okay. Next tayo. Bago na pala ngayon yung tsura ng Zoom, medyo na-disorient ako kung paano ko gagawin daw. Wait lang. Mga pipindutin ko. Sige. So we have our basic research and applied research. So when we say basic research, you just want to increase knowledge. Okay? You just want to increase knowledge. So there is something that is not known that you want to know. Okay? To know the unknown. Okay? You want to know something. Okay? To know the unknown. Okay? Gusto mong malaman. Okay? Now, if you do basic research, you want to know the unknown, right? Just to know. Okay? The purpose is just to know it. After knowing it, then it's done. Period. But if you say applied research, you don't just want to know. You also want to find solutions to problems. So you use the knowledge, okay, to find solutions to problems. So there is an application of knowledge. Okay? So if in basic research, inalam mo lang, okay, yung pala yun, okay, period, tapos na. Kaya nga basic lang siya. But in applied, you don't just know it. After knowing it, you apply it. Okay? You use the knowledge to find solutions to problems. And therefore, what is the higher level? Is it the basic or is it applied research? Basic or applied? Sagot kayo guys, kasi medyo nakaka-atok naman pag walang sumasagot. Diba? So, siguro sagot tayo na para masaya. Okay? So applied. Applied is higher level than basic po, ha? Okay, applied is higher level than basic. Sige. Tell me if this is applied or basic research. We performed a survey about the stress levels of USRN candidates. And before taking the NCLEX, you performed a survey about their stress levels. Hindi pa ako tapos. Sandali. And after knowing the stress levels, you performed or you conducted a stress management session for them, targeting the kind of stress they have in order to decrease the stress levels before taking the NCLEX. So what kind of research is that did I do? Okay, did I just try to know it? Did I just try to know the level of stress? Yes or no? Did I just try to know the level of stress? No. After doing that, okay, I applied it. And therefore, it's applied research. But what if I just said, okay, I will conduct a survey about the stress levels. And after doing that, then it's done. And that's just basic. Okay, so you just knew it and then it's done. That's the difference. Next variable. So in research, we cannot escape the topic of variables. So what are variables? We have the things that change, or in Tagalog, mga bagay na nagbabago. So variables are things that change. Okay, so what are the things that change? Marami, di ba? Maraming bagay na nagbabago. Everything changes. Sabi nga ni Albert Einstein daw, okay, change is the only thing that doesn't change. Okay, change is the only thing that's permanent. Okay, so everything else changes. People change. Yeah. Yan. Feelings niya. Yan. Nagbabago lahat yan. So, ibig sabihin, variable yun? Yes, variable sila lahat. Okay. But now we will talk about different types of variables. We have 3 different types of variables. Mga bagay na nagbabago. Okay. Number 1 type of variable is your independent variable. Now, when you say independent variable, it is the cause. In Tagalog, it is the dahilan. Okay? It is the sanhi. Yan. Sanhi, dahilan. The cause. Okay? Why do we have to know the cause? Kasi in research, guys, okay, there are variables that we want to relate to each other. Okay? If I do this, what will happen? If I give it to the person, what will happen? So that's what we do in research, no? So, there's a cause and effect relationship. We establish a cause and effect relationship. So, the one that we consider the cause is the independent variable, or we will call it IV. Okay, IV. Now, there's also such a thing as dependent variable. We will start to call this as your DV. When we say DV, it is the cause or is it the effect? Is it the cause or is it the effect? Of course, your cause is taken already, then therefore it is the effect. Now, there are other terms that the dependent variable goes by. What are these other terms? You have your outcome variable, which is also called your resultant variable. So these are all the same. Again, these are all the same. Dependent variable, outcome variable, resultant variable, they are all the same. Synonymous, interchangeable, pwedeng pagpalit-palitin, pareho-pareho ng meaning. So if you've been asked about the outcome variable, then you know that you're being asked about the dependent variable, the effect, yung bunga, yung kinalabasan, yung resulta, the effect. Okay? Sige, so let's have an example. For example, let's use our example a while ago about the stress levels of students taking about the take NCLEX. So you would like to know the stress level, the relationship of stress levels of USRN or NCLEX takers to their passing rates. Okay, so you would like to know the relationship of the stress levels of NCLEX takers, okay, to their passing rate or pass rates. You would like to, again, I will write it down, determine the relationship. Now, sabi ko, di ba, in research, we try to establish relationships. We want to know if there is really a relationship between 2 variables. Okay? For example, kapag ba pinahid ko ang lotion na ito, puputi ba ako? Oh, hindi naman basta maniniwala ka sa kapitbahay mo, maniniwala ka sa kaibigan mo. Ask research talaga ba? May relationship ba talaga? So, ganun din dito. We want to know the relationship of variables. To determine the relationship of stress levels of NCLEX takers and their pass rates. Question: what is the independent variable here? Okay? What is the cause? Is it the stress levels or is it the pass rates? What is the cause? That independent variable. What is the cause or the independent variable? Is it the stress levels or is it the pass rates? What is the cause? Ano yung dahilan? Ano yung dahilan? Okay. Ano yung dahilan? Ano yung dahilan? Dahilan ba yung pass rate? So pag sinabi mo sa akin na ang independent variable ay pass rate, yun yung dahilan. So pag sinabi mo sa akin, if IV is pass rate, Sabi sa akin, di ba, IB Spacit, ganito yan. Ganito yung lalabas. Ah, kaya siya pumasa. Ay, kaya siya na-stress. Kasi pumasa. Ganon. Ganon ba? Na-stress kasi pumasa. Yan, ganyan. Tama ba yan? Hmm. Mali, di ba? O mali yun. Let's try to ano ulit. Let's try to answer it first. Okay. So, ay nabura lahat. Wait lang. Nalilito ako dito. So, what's the IV? The IV in the cause is the stress levels. Okay? Kasi pwede ba niyang maapektuhan yung pass rate ng mga estudyante? Yes. Okay? So, pwedeng, ay, kaya hindi pumasa kasi na-stress. Pwedeng ganun, di ba? Ayan. So, yun siya. The cause is the stress levels and the DV or the effect are the pass rate. So, could it affect? Ayan. So, yun siya. Magulo ba siya? Madali lang naman, di ba? Cause and effect lang naman yan. Ngayon, minsan, may mga tinatawag tayo na confounding variables. When we say confounding variables, these are contaminating factors, no? They're also called extraneous variables. Again, they're also called extraneous variables. When you say extraneous variables, it means that they are not intended to be part of the study. They are not intended to be part of the study. Wala sila dapat dyan. They are not intended to be a part of the study. Wala sila dapat dyan. Pero sumasama sila. Ume-epal sila. Okay? Sige, for example, I will give an example and you will tell me the independent variable at saka yung dependent variable. Okay. The relationship between sige, halimbawa, NLE na lang. Para hindi naman masyadong related sa atin. So, NLE, board rating. Okay? Rating and the, halimbawa, the GWA in college. Okay. The relationship between NLE boarding and the GWA in college of NLE takers. Sige nga, what is the independent variable here and the dependent variable? What could be the cause and what could be the effect? Tingin nyo. What could be the cause? Is it the NLE board rating or is it the GWA? What could be the cause? The IV. Yung GWA ba, pwedeng maapektuhan yung board rating? Kasi yun ang tinitingnan natin, no? Pwede? Pwede? Posible? Posible ba yun? Yung GWA niya, yung graded weighted, general weighted average, yung pinaka-grade. Basta yung GWA, yung pinaka-grade niya ng college, no? Yung pinaka-grade niya. So, ano ba mas tama? Si GWA, no? Siya yung cause which could be related to the NLE board rating. Pwede, di ba? Ngayon, could you do the other way around? The independent variable is the board rating and the dependent variable is GWA. Could you do that? Is it possible to do that? Is it possible to say that? The independent variable is the board rating and the dependent variable is GWA. Is it possible? Yes or no? Is it possible? Guys, imagination. Pwede mo maapektuhan ng board rating yung GWA mo. So, pag sinabi mong pwedeng maapektuhan, so halimbawa, pumasa ka na sa board exam. Ito na yung board rating mo sa board exam. Ikaw ay 90. Uy, mataas ako. So, ang gagawin ko ngayon, mababago ngayon yung GWA ko sa college. Yung TOR ko, magically, magkakaroon ng plus points. Dati, ang GWA ko, 2 lang. Ngayon, 1 na. Posible yun? Maapektuhan ng board rating ko, yung GWA ko? Ganon? Dahil nagtap ako, ay, summa cum laude na ako dyan dapat. Ibahin yung diploma ko. Gawin nyo, summa cum laude yan. Hindi pwede, di ba? So, that's the point. Okay? So, sabihin, yan talaga yan. Walang ibang pwedeng sagot. Hindi yung pwedeng pagbalik rin yan. Okay? So, ngayon, what if many of your NLE takers, okay, na broken-hearted. Halimbawa, broken-hearted sila. Pwede bang maapektuhan din yung kanilang performance in the NLE if they're broken-hearted? Yes or no? Yes, di ba? Hindi sila makakapag-aral. Okay, iiyak na lang sila gabi-gabi, di ba? So now you could say that that could be the confounding variable. Yeah, broken-hearted halimbawa. What if many of them are broken-hearted? It could affect the result, no? So kahit summa cum laude pa sila ng college, kahit na uno pa yung kanilang G1 ng college, it could affect the NLE board rating even if it is not part of the variables. Hindi naman part ng variables yung pagiging broken-hearted, di ba? But it could affect. Yeah? So ibig sabihin, it could also affect the board rating of the person, no? If preoccupied siya with his or her heartbreak. So gano'n, naka-affect siya, nakagulo siya. So kaya nga, the confounding variables are considered bad. They are contaminating. And therefore, should they be part of the study or should they be eliminated from the study? Part of the study or eliminated from the study? So as much as possible, we have to eliminate these confounding variables. Okay? So next. What's the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? When you say quantitative research, okay, it is empirical. Again, very high-sounding word, but it is not complex. It's very easy. When you say empirical, it is something that is observed by the five senses. Okay? Observed by the five senses. What are the five senses? Sabi ng elementary teacher natin, ano yung mga five senses? Sabi ng elementary teacher natin, we have our sight, smell, taste, hear, feel. Di ba? Kahit tayo preschool pa lang, di ba? Tinuturo na yan. Meron tayong five senses. Ganun na siya. If it can be seen, if it can be smelled, if it can be tasted, if it can be touched or felt, if it can be heard, then it is empirical. Okay? Yun lang. Empirical. Okay? Question. Okay, again for a quantitative study to be feasible, the variables must be empirical. Okay, question. Can I study Pancit Canton? Yes or no? Can I study Pancit Canton in quantitative research? Yes or no? Yes. Pancit Canton can be seen, can be touched, can be smelled, can be tasted, can be heard. Yes, pwedeng ma-hear mo yan, hear mo yan. Can you hear Pancit Canton? Yes, di ba? Ipokpo ko sa ulo mo yan, tutunog yan. Di ba? So five senses, no? Okay. Pwede. Therefore, Pancit Canton is blank. Therefore, Pancit Canton is blank. It is, anong tawag natin doon? What term? Anong term gagamitin natin? Therefore, Pancit Canton is, guys, nasa board na. Therefore, Pancit Canton is, ulit. Pancit Canton can be seen, can be heard, can be tasted, can be smelled, can be touched, can be... so therefore, Pancit Canton is empirical. Ulit. Something, ulit tayo kasi nagkakagulo tayo. Ulit. Something could be said as empirical if it can be seen, it can be smelled, it can be tasted. Elementary teacher. It can be seen, smelled, tasted, heard, felt. Sabi ni elementary teacher, if If this is the case, meaning it is empirical. So can pancit canton be smelled? Yes. Can be seen? Yes. Can be tasted? Yes. Can be heard? Yes. Can be felt? Yes. Therefore, pancit canton is empirical. Very good. So can you study pancit canton under quantitative study because it is empirical? Yes. Now, what if I propose to my teacher, I would like to study the ghosts, okay, in the haunted house in our village. I want to know how many ghosts there are in the haunted house in our village. Okay, what will, anong ghosts? Ghosts. The ghosts in the haunted house in our village. Okay, how will your advisor react? How will your advisor react to that? Will the advisor accept or reject your proposal? Bakit kayo i-reject? Sige, the answer is the advisor will reject your proposal. And what's the reason? Accept pagkasama si Kaluwag. Why? Why is it rejectable? That kind of proposal, studying ghosts in the backyard. Can you see ghosts? No, you cannot see ghosts. Can you hear ghosts? Them, you cannot feel them. Diba? Eh sir, may mga nakakarinig na, may mga nakakakita ng ghost, yung mga may third eye. Oh, third eye talaga, ha? Talaga, ha? Totoo yan, ha? Wala namang third eye, hindi naman totoo yun. Okay, so again, it's not research or evidence-based. So, meaning, ghosts are not empirical. And if ghosts are not empirical, they cannot be studied. Okay? Kasi paano mong bibilangin yung multo? Eh, hindi mo nga nakikita. Paano mong bibilangin yan? Diba? That's the point. It has to be empirical. Okay? So, qualitative. Qualitative naman is human experience. So, ito yung more of the story of the lives of people. Okay? So, parang maalala mo kaya, human experience. Next, logical or planned and quantitative. So, there is a plan that we do in research before we proceed in data collection. What do we do before we collect data? Kasi we cannot just outright collect data. We have to get approval from people, from the advisor. We have to get approval from the authority. Kasi pwedeng mali na yung ginagawa mo eh. So before doing data collection, we have to have a plan first. The plan is called our research proposal. And whatever it is that it is written on the research proposal, it has to be done. Okay? Whatever it is on the research proposal, it has to be done. It's fixed. Okay? It's non-negotiable. If it's been approved, then that's what you're going to do. You will not be able to edit it. It's fixed. Okay? But if the study is qualitative, then it is flexible. Meaning, while you are collecting data, you can change the plan accordingly. Yes, pwedeng bagu-baguhin. Okay? Pwedeng baguhin. Bagu-baguhin. Yan. Why? Because if you change it, if you try to modify it from time to time, the assumption is it will get better. Okay? It will improve. Okay? Or it will evolve. Yan. Okay? You will improve it. Habang tumatagal, habang binabago mo siya, gumaganda siya ng gumaganda. So that is only applicable in the qualitative design. Next. Numbers and statistics. So this is self-explanatory, right? So quanti nga eh. Alam naman natin, pag sabing quanti, bilang. Magbibilang tayo quanti eh. So may numbers. And therefore, meron ding computation statistics. Now, in qualitative study, do we compute? Do we use numbers? No. Kaya nga quali. Hindi naman sinabing quanti. So, hindi ka magko-compute dyan. So therefore, you will only be doing narrative or words. You will only be using words. Okay? So there are no numbers here. Only stories. Okay? Usually narrative, usually stories. No? Stories. Ayan, stories. Okay, next. What about in quantitative control? For example, I want to measure your scores. Okay? I want to know your performance in your NCLEX review. I want to know your performance in your NCLEX review. Now, what do I do to measure your performance? Well, the most common is to conduct an exam, right? I will give you an exam, and whatever it is that is the result of the exam, it will determine your performance, right? If you're high in the exam, then you're doing good. If you failed in the exam, then you're doing bad. Now, so what I did is I will administer the exam to you guys. Can I administer the exam in the middle of the street? Yes or no? Can I administer the exam in the middle of the street? Or in the middle of a highway? Para, oh guys, lumabas tayo. Dito tayo sa may kalsada. Dito tayo mag-exam. Can you do that? No. Or in the middle of the market. Sa gitna ng palengke. Can you do that? No. Why? What's the reason? Oh guys, common sense lang. Bakit hindi pwedeng mag-exam sa gitna ng kalsada? Sige lang. Ano yung simple lang tayo. Hindi ko kayo tatanong ng kakaiba. Yung simpleng sagot lang. Simpleng tanong, simpleng sagot. Okay, so syempre, magulo. Di ba? Syempre, masasagasaan. Syempre, maingay. Di ba? Syempre, mainit. Lalo tanghaling tapat. Di ba? So, mainit. Maraming mag-uusisa. Maraming mga epal. Ano ginagawa mo dyan? So, what are those things? Yung pwede kang masagasaan, it's noisy, it's chaotic. Could these things affect your scores in the exam? Yes. What kind of variables are they if they could affect, even if you do not intend for them to affect your study, but they do affect? I have already discussed this earlier. This kind of variable is your confounding variable. So in quantitative research, you want to decrease confounding variables or increase confounding variables? Increase or decrease confounding variables? You want to decrease. Kapag sinabi mo sa akin gusto mo nang i-increase ang confounding variable, parang sinasabi mo sa akin, sir, mag-e-exam ako sa gitna ng kalsada. Di ba? Hindi naman. Wala naman magsasabi ng ganun. You want to be in a place where you will not be affected by confounding variables. Ay, sorry. Decrease na. Down arrow pa. Saka mali pa yung sinulat ko. CV to. Ayan. You want to decrease the confounding variables. Okay, so how do you do that? Where should we take the exam if you want to decrease the confounding variables and therefore control the study? So if it is wrong to have an exam in the middle of the street, then where should I be doing it? Where should I be administering the exam? Nag-isip na naman ng malalim ha. Classroom lang po. Quiet room. Yun lang. Grabe ha. Classroom. Overthink ka lang naman eh. Sige. So, ngayon, yun po yung ating quality. Tapos sa quality naman is natural setting. What does it mean when you say natural setting? Where do you study the people? In their place or in a place away from their home? Tingnan na may ilong ko. At their home or away from home? At home, away from home. Okay, so in qualitative, you want to get the human experience, right? You want to get to know the human experience side of it. So if you want to get the human experience, will you get the genuine will you get the genuine data if you observe them outside their home? Yes or no? No, because the behavior could change if they are observed outside their home. So dapat, okay, at their own habitat. So where do these people live? Ayan. So where do the people you want to study live? Because you want to observe them in the place where they live or in their habitat. Okay? That's the difference between qualitative and quantitative. We will move on to the next slide. Medyo bilisan natin, ang bagal ko. So, can we skip this part, guys? Kasi alam ko na pag-usapan na natin to eh. Or I will just run through it. Okay? Okay, ethics in research. Tanilong ko. Ethics in research is for protection of research subjects. Okay? So, you want to protect the research subjects, guys. So, what if you are the subject and people would like to test a drug on you? A drug that hasn't been approved, a drug that hasn't been proven to be safe for human consumption. Would you accept to be part of the study? For example, as somebody said, do you want to be part of our study? We will give you an experimental drug, but this still hasn't been approved for human trials. Can you or will you accept participation in the study? No. Why won't you? Of course, because you could be put in danger, right? Okay? What if you die because of the drug? It's possible, right? What if you bleed because of the drug? It's possible. What if you will develop liver problems because of the drug? That's possible. So, if you don't want that to happen to you, then more likely you don't want that, or other people would not want it to happen to them as well. So, that's why we have to perform ethical research. Okay? It has to be something that will be safe for the people. So the priority in research is safety. So if something will cause death, if something will cause harm, then that is unethical. And it means that you should not do it. Okay? So this is what I told you. That is something that we have discussed last week, the ethical principles. Number one ethical principle is the principle of beneficence or do good. Again, if you want to do good, question, is it something like you want to improve health status? Or is it something like you want to promote safety? Improve health status or promote safety? What did we talk about beneficence? Okay, again, we want to improve health status. Since we have already talked about this earlier, we will just pass through it very quickly. Number two is non-maleficence. You do not want to do no harm. You don't have to actively do something, but it should be something that has to promote safety. Okay, promote safety. Okay, so question, beneficence, non-maleficence. You're about to give a hypertensive drug to a patient, an experimental antihypertensive drug to a subject of your study. Is it beneficence or is it non-maleficence? An experimental antihypertensive drug. It's experimental. Is it beneficence or non-maleficence? You are about to give. Okay, let's try to change it. For example, you will try to give an anti-neoplastic drug to a pediatric cancer patient. You're about to give an experimental anti-neoplastic drug to a pediatric cancer patient. Is it beneficence or is it non-maleficence? Guys, sagot kayo para ano, kasi mabagal tayo eh. Mag-iisang oras na tayo, slide 9 pa lang tayo. So we have to do it faster, guys. Let's do it quick. Okay? If you give an anti-neoplastic drug, anti-neoplastics are anti-cancer chemotherapeutic drugs. Do you wish the patient to heal or to be treated? Yes. Oh. Yung bang na-treat mo, nag-improve ba yung health status o hindi? Oh, anong sagot natin? Beneficence. Ayun na yun, nandiyan na sa screen yung ating definitions. Okay? Eh, ba't kanina? Ulit na rin ha. You're about to give an experimental antihypertensive drug. An experimental antihypertensive drug to a patient. Anong sagot natin doon? An experimental antihypertensive drug. Anong sagot natin? Beneficence and maleficence? Tinainom ko eh. Beneficence. Kasi, again, the drug is there to help the person. Okay? To improve the person's health status. Now, you realized in the papers that the anti-neoplastic experimental drug is still not been approved or is still not approved by the ethics committee to be tested on human subjects. So you decided to not give it first, like not give it yet. What's that? Non-maleficence. Okay, because by not giving an unapproved drug, okay, by not giving an unapproved drug, you're promoting the safety of a person. Pinigilan mo yung kapahamakan niya. Okay, next. Justice, equal risks and benefits. So whatever it is that your patients get or the subjects get, it must be something that every subject gets. Okay? So again, there should be no favoritism. There should be no favoritism. Number 4, autonomy. Autonomy is voluntary decision. In research, guys, autonomy is a very important concept. Okay? Actually, we spend a lot of time, okay, in research just to respect the person's autonomy, right? So what is this thing that we write, formulate, create, okay, to make sure that the patient's autonomy is followed or respected? What do you call this? Consent, or specifically what kind of consent? Because as we have talked about last week, there are many types of consent, guys, right? We have our express consent, we have our implied consent, and then express consent can be written or spoken. Where is it? What kind? The written consent. Very good. What do you call the written consent? The informed consent. Okay? Not just any consent, because if you answer me with consent, it could be implied consent. Implied consent, okay, should not be done in research. Okay? Hindi po pwedeng dahil sinabi lang or tumango lang yung tao, pwede nang isama sa research. Hindi pwede. It has to be something that is written and signed by the subject. It has to be informed consent. Okay? So again, I will repeat mamaya later the informed consent. Okay? Number 5, veracity, complete information. If you can recall, in your informed consent forms, you don't just ask the person to sign. before the person signs on the consent form, what is it that the patient or the subject should do? What is it that the subject should do before signing the consent form? Kasi hindi lang naman 1 page yan eh. 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages. Bakit mahaba? Ano pang ibang nakalagay? Maliban sa signature over printed name, ano pang nakalagay sa informed consent? Bakit mahaba siya? Bakit umabot ng 3 pages, 2 pages, 4 pages? Ano pa tingin niyo nakalagay doon? Hirap talaga pag ano, allergies, nakaka-decrease ng quality of life. Okay. Umuulan pa. Dito hindi pa naman umuulan, paulan pa lang. Anyway, so ano nakalagay? Hindi nyo kasama po sa ano, sir? Wala dito. Sa Manila ako. Sa Manila ako. Si Maki ay nasa probinsya. Okay, so veracity. It has to be, okay? You have to write there all details of the study. Okay? All details of study. All important na lang. Baka mamaya sabihin mo. All important details of the study. Okay? Ano ba yung mga important details ng study? Okay? Description of the study, what is happening there. Diba? So, ano pa? Risks and benefits. Very good. Ito, pinaka-importante. Right to withdraw. Diba? Or refuse. Yan. Dapat nakalagay lahat yan. Okay? Ano bang pwedeng nakalagay dyan? Compensation, pwede. Kasi may ibang mga studies talaga nagbibigay sila ng money to the participants. Pwede yan, no? Very good. Okay? The research setting. Okay? The population. Ibig sabihin, population. Ibig sabihin na to, sino ba yung mga taong pinag-aaralan? Yan. So, yan. So, everything, these are the things that you should be part. Well, hindi naman lahat. Hindi naman yan lahat. Meron pang iba, pero marami kasi masyado. Hindi ko naman pwedeng ilagay lahat. So, ito yung pinaka-importante. Okay? So, you should not be concealing any information. Because if you conceal information, then it is tantamount to what? If you conceal information, then it is tantamount to lying. Diba? Lying. You're not respecting the principle of veracity if you conceal any information with regards to your study. Next, number 6. Number 6 is confidentiality. Confidentiality, data is not revealed. So again, where should you put the data that you have collected in case you have already collected data from the subject? So where should you store it? Where should you put it? Should you just put it in for example, in a file, in a folder, in Google Docs, Google Drive? Is it okay to put in Google Drive, in Facebook? Okay? On your dump account, in Instagram, you have all these pictures of your patient's information? No. Okay? So for soft copy, okay, in a secured, okay, computer. Secure or secured? Secure computer. Yan. Diba? So, should you be using the computer for anything else other than research? No. This computer has to be dedicated to research. Okay? You should not be using your personal computer. Because if it is hacked, okay, then it could leak the information. But if for hard copy, okay, in a locked cabinet. Yan. Okay? So, hindi pa pwedeng kahit saan mo na lang gustong ilagay. It has to be in a place that is secure and nobody else could access it. Now, in research, we do not put the names of the subjects in the results discussion, right? So you don't put it. Why? Of course, if you put it there, if you put the name of your subject, then you will breach the principle of anonymity. Okay? So, according to Pollitt and Beck, anonymity is the highest level of confidentiality. Anonymity is the highest level of confidentiality. Have you heard of the word anonymous? Yan yun. Okay? Anonymous. Ibig sabihin, the data is not linked to person. No matter how much you read the data, you will never know who the person is. Okay? Hindi mo malalaman kung sino nagsabi nun. Okay? Saan ba sikat yung anonymity? Halimbawa saan sikat yung anonymity? Halimbawa sa investigador, di ba? Yung may mga whistleblower. Anong makikita mo sa investigador, di ba? Madilim. Iba yung boses. Kasi anonymous, di ba? So, ganun din dito. Dapat anonymized. Anonymity. Okay? So again, this is your informed consent. We're just repeating what we have talked about last week. So, as I have said earlier, informed consent should be obtained because that is you respecting and protecting the patient's autonomy. Okay? If the patient accepts, is it okay? If the patient accepts, is it okay? Ano, maambon na. Yes, that's okay. Siyempre, yun nga gusto mo eh. Gusto mo pumayag siya, di ba? Okay, so, yes, of course. The answer is yes. Now, if the patient declines, is that okay? Yes as well. Yes, okay lang yun. Why? Because these patients have the right to refuse, di ba? What if they are already amidst the research? They are already amidst the research and then they decided to stop and, quit. Is it all right for them to quit in the middle of the research study? Yes or no? Yes, because these people have the right to withdraw. Yeah, sinasabi natin right to withdraw. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, ay, wala na, nakapasok ka na, hindi ka na pwede lumabas. No, that's unethical. So you have to allow them to leave. Okay? Anytime they want to. Okay? No questions asked. You don't need to get an explanation. If the person says, I want to go, I want to leave you now. Okay? Kailangan hayaan mo siyang umalis. Hindi mo kailangan hinga ng valid reason. Hindi mo kailangan hinga ng explanation. Hindi niya kailangan magpaliwanag sa'yo. You have to let the person go. Okay? Without any acceptable reason. Okay? Yan. So yan, this is the informed consent as I have said earlier and last week. So again, what is the letter V? Voluntary. So if it is voluntary, does it mean that you can coerce or bribe the person? Again, no, you cannot. If it is I, informed, do you say everything or do you say only partially? Everything. Okay? The person has to be fully informed and the person should fully understand what he or she is entering, okay, or signing into. Okay? And then letter C, competent. Again, what's the definition of competent? We define competent as a person who is blank, blank, blank. Ano yan? Blank, blank, blank. Ano yan? Ano nga pala yung competent? You are competent if you are blank, blank, blank. Eh? May kaya siyang gawin eh. May kaya siyang gawin. Able to decide. Okay? Able to decide. So again, can a 5-year-old be considered competent? Yes or no? No? Siyempre, bata pa eh. Kasi gawin natin high school. Can a high schooler be considered competent? Halimbawa, second year high school. May isip na yun, B. May isip na yun. Nagbo-boyfriend na nga yan eh. Second year high school, nagbo-boyfriend na yan. Lumalandi na yan. May isip na. Girlfriend niya. Bakit hindi pwede? Kasi nga, minor pa sila. Okay? There has to be legal age. And number 2, coherent. Coherent, ibig sabihin, sound mind. Alright? Now, letter S is signature. When you say signature, how many signatures do you need? How many kinds of signatures do you need? You need 2 kinds of signatures. Signature from the subject and signature from the witnesses. How many witnesses do you need? 2 witnesses. Okay? So we have 2 kinds of firma. You have your subject firma and you have your witnesses firma. The second one. Question. Can the nurse performing the research sign as witness? Can the nurse performing the research sign as witness? Yes or no? Isipin niyo muna. Babalik ako. Can the nurse performing the research? Nurse ha? Nurse yan, di ba? Then nursing tayo dito ha. Ibig sabihin tayo gumagawa ng research. Hindi doktor. Nursing research nga eh. Ano? Anybody? Nurse ka. Di ba sabi natin, nurse can be a witness? Di ba? Nurses are witnesses in informed consent. Ba't ngayon bawal na? Nurse naman siya. Make informed consent. Bakit hindi siya pwede mag-witness? Saan ba applicable yung nurse can be witnesses? Saan ba applicable yung nurse can be witnesses? Saan klaseng consent taking? Yes, sa mga invasive procedure. Okay? Pwede ka mag-witness. Pero dito, in research, can the nurse administering the research be witnesses? No, they cannot. Simply because, sila yung gagawa ng research eh. E di magkakabias ka. Di ba? Hindi pwede. Pagdating sa research, the nurse doing the research cannot be a witness. So, iba to. Kumbaga, ibang usapan to. Okay? Malinaw na, ibang usapan to dun sa tinuturo sa inyo sa MS. Iba yung sa MS, consent taking, pwedeng mag-witness si nurse. Iba yung sa research, consent taking, hindi pwedeng mag-witness si nurse. If the nurse is the one doing the research. By the simple reason that it is conflict of interest. Okay? So, nurse doing research cannot be a witness. Bakit? Conflict of interest. Siyempre, kung ako yung researcher na nurse, siyempre gusto ko sumali yung tao. At kung gusto ko sumali yung tao, may tendency na pilitin ko. Di ba? Di ba? May problema na dun eh. Meron na dong issue. No? So, hindi pwede. Next slide. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 pa lang tayo, guys. Okay? Okay lang yan. So, dali lang to. Research problem. So, as I've said earlier, okay, gumagawa tayo ng basic research. Gumagawa tayo ng applied research. Bakit ba natin ginagawa yung research, by the way? Kasi, may hindi pa tayo alam. Okay? Sabi nga natin, ginagawa natin yung research to know the truth. Gusto mong malaman yung totoo. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng nasa mundo natin totoo. Hindi naman lahat ng nakikita mo sa Facebook totoo. Hindi naman lahat ng naririnig mo totoo. Hindi naman lahat ng sinasabi ng mga tao sa paligid mo totoo. So you want to know the truth. Ano bang totoo? So we ask the research problem. Diba? What is wrong? So there are two things that could be wrong. No? Pwedeng we still don't know something. Okay? So there are gaps in knowledge. May hindi pa tayo alam. Okay? Halimbawa, sabi sa'yo ng kapitbahay mo, may pinahid daw siyang halamang gamot sa katawan niya. Okay? Tapos, ang nangyari daw, tumalino daw siya. Pagkapahid daw. Sabi natin, maniniwala ka ba agad? Hindi. Anong gagawin mo? Perform research. Oo nga ba yun? Para malaman ko, there's only one way to find out. Di ba? Perform research. And if I do that, I could know if talaga bang effective siya o hindi. Eh, yun lang ang paraan. Eh sir, ibig sabihin, tuwing may hindi ako alam, kailangan i-research ko? Pag-perform ako ng research? Siyempre hindi. May mga bagay na nalaman na. Kaya pwede mo na lang siya i-search. Di ba? I-search mo na lang sa Google para malaman mo. Pero dapat, yung i-search mo, research din. Di ba? Research output din. Hindi yung sabi-sabi lang ng sino-sino. Dapat research output, research evidence din. Okay, so kailangan ganun ha. Hindi pwede yung pagpapaniwala sa kung saan. Meron pa yan, yung mga scam, di ba? Dapat hindi kayo papapaniwala sa mga ganun. Sige. So again, ano pang isa pang problema? Another thing that's wrong is pwedeng may problems in society. Yan. So problems in society. So halimbawa yung COVID. Di ba? Nagkaroon ng COVID noon. Anong ginawa ng mga tao? What did people do when COVID hit the Philippines or the whole world? Ano nag-awol? What did people do? They studied the virus. So when they studied the virus, they aimed to produce a vaccine to develop immunity against the virus. So what is that? Is it applied or basic research? They studied the virus to develop a vaccine to develop immunity against the virus. Is it applied or basic? Applied. Very good. Because you did not just try to know about the virus. You tried to know about the virus and then you used that knowledge about the virus to create a vaccine. Diba? Yan. So, it could be based on your curiosity and interests. Okay? Now that you have determined what is the problem, what is wrong, there's something you still don't know. Or there's a problem in society, just like COVID. The next thing to do is to set your objectives or the statement of purpose. Okay? So your statement of purpose could be, okay, goal and objectives. Now, what is the difference between goals and objectives? Goals are general or specific? Are goals general or are goals specific? Goals are general. Very good. Okay, it's easy to remember because goals, letter G. Okay, and general, letter G. Okay, goals, G, general, G. So therefore, okay, your goals are general and therefore your objectives are specific. Now, question. how do you write this? So you have your goal number 1. Okay, and then under goal number 1, you have objective number 1, objective number 2, objective number 3. Okay, so you see, the goal is the general one. Okay, the goal is the general one. Okay, the goal is the general one. And then under the goal, you have your objective that are specific to the goal. Okay? That's what you mean when you say the goals are general. Now, let's go to the research question. Okay. A research question has 4 parts. Again, how many parts do you have in the research question? You have 4 parts. What are these? IRD, PIRD, 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 P, population, I, IV, R, relationship, and D, DV. Okay? Now, PIRD, P, population, I, IV, R, relationship, D, DV. Okay, what do you mean by population? Population, okay, the people. So basta kapag may nakita kang humans or people doon sa subject, sa research question, yun ang population mo. Tao. Okay? Napakadali. Tao. Okay, next. Independent variable, cause or effect. Independent variable, cause or effect. Cause. Very good. Dependent variable. Cause or effect? Effect. Now question. What's the relationship? Is the connection between the IV and the DV. The independent variable and the dependent variable are connected by the relationship. Okay? Sige. So, usually ang gagawin dyan, you will have to be asked to identify the parts of the research question. Okay? Next slide. Okay, identify the parts. Identify the parts. Among young adults, is lifestyle associated with hypertension. What part of the PIRD is IV, the cause? Is it the relationship, the connection between IV and DV? Or is it the DV, the effect? Malabo ba ako? Okay, ulit. We have our PIRD. PIRD is population, independent variable, relationship, and dependent variable. Now, among the PIRD, what is young adults? Is it the P, the I, the R, the D? The P, the population. What is associated with? Is it the P, the I, the R, the D? Is it a cause or an effect? No, right? It's simply just a connection between the IV and the DV. It's just a relationship. Now, you are left with the 2 variables. What is sedentary lifestyle? Is it considered a cause or is it considered an effect? Sedentary lifestyle. sedentary lifestyle. Cause or effect? IV, therefore cause. Huh? Or cause, therefore IV. Hypertension, cause or effect? Effect. DV. Okay. So is it clear? Now, okay, in research, we have a trend going on. The trend is the evidence-based practice, or simply put, the EBP, evidence-based practice. So do you ever wonder why sometimes there are things in the past that we don't do anymore? Wait lang commercial. Mabilis ba akong magsalita? Or nakakasunod naman? Babagalan ko pa. Will I speak slowly? Okay. Choppy lang sometimes. Okay. Choppy lang pala. Okay. Sige. So, evidence-based practice comparing clinical intervention. So, have you ever wondered why there are practices in the hospital many, many years ago that we don't do anymore? Right? There are things that we don't do anymore. Right? So, for example, in the past, when people have psychiatric illnesses, do you know they do? They remove form lobectomy. Ay, lobectomy ba yun? Lobotomy, something like part of the brain. We don't do that anymore. Why? Why do you think we don't do those things anymore? Because research has said that there are better things we can do. Yun tinatawag natin ng evidence-based practice. You compare interventions. You try to see if there is a better way of doing things. Okay? So, for example, okay, we are doing this now, but is there something better we can do? Yan. And in EBP, we don't use research question. We use clinical question. Okay? So how many types of questions do you already know? 2 types. The first one is the research, and the second one is the clinical question. So the research question is used in a regular research. The one we talked about earlier is a regular research. Now, clinical question, this is the question you will use if you are performing an EBP study. Again, ulitin ko, research question for regular research. Clinical question for evidence-based practice. So, ganun siya. Yun yung kanyang, matching type, kumbaga. Now, per research question, what are the 4 elements or 4 parts of the research question again? Ano yung ating acronym? PERD. Now, that's for the research question. Now, for the second type of question, the clinical question, used in EBP. What kind or what are the parts? For clinical question, PICO. Okay? So, again, research question, PERD, regular research. Clinical question, PICO, EBP, or evidence-based practice. Ayan na, yun yung kanyang matching type. So ngayon, what are the PICO? P population, we already know that. That's the people, the subjects. Next, intervention. Intervention is usually the newer treatment, okay, or the newer procedure. And you compare this new procedure, okay, to your comparison. Okay? The older. Okay? The conventional. Okay? Treatment currently used. Lag ba? Hello? Hello? Lag po? Hello? Ayan. Paminsan-minsan talaga naglalag siya, no? Kasi mahina signal dito sa akin. Medyo mahina signal dito sa... Although mataas naman itong lugar, pero ewan kung bakit mahina dito. Sige. So, currently used. Okay? So, di ba ang ginagawa nga natin, meron na nakasanayan. But we want to improve that. So, we challenge it with a newer treatment or a newer procedure. Okay? And then letter O, outcome. Outcome means, okay, the end result. What do you want to happen? Diba? Why are you giving a newer treatment? What is something that you're trying to measure? What are you trying to measure? Okay? Sige. That's your outcome, the end result. Sige, so let's start to have an example and you will determine the different parts of the PICO, the different parts of the clinical question. Among staff nurses, is N95 mask more effective than surgical mask in preventing COVID-19? Staff nurses, go. Okay. Staff nurses are your population. N95 mask is what? Intervention. Surgical mask. Comparison. And what is the end result? What is something that you want to achieve in the end? The outcome. It is to prevent COVID-19 infection. So, yung outcome. So, you see, iba na siya eh. Hindi siya PERD. Di ba? You cannot use the PERD here. Right? You cannot use PERD in this kind of question. It has to be PICO because you're comparing two variables. Huh? You're comparing two variables. So definitely, PICO is the preferred format, not the PERD. Diba? Try mo. Hindi pwede yung PERD, no? Sige. So let's go. Now let's talk about the hypothesis. Hypothesis is just a fancy word for hula or guess. So when do you do hypothesis making? When do you make a hypothesis? Is it at the end or at the start of the research? At the end or at the start of research? End or start? Should you be guessing at the end of the research? Should you be guessing at the end of the research? I mean, You've done your data collection, you've done your computation, and then at the end, he just said, okay, hulaan lang natin to. Hulaan na lang natin to. Let's guess the conclusion. Let's guess the result. Ganun ba? So by common sense, we know that we should not be doing the hypothesis at the end. Kasi may data ka na eh. Ba't ka pa manghuhula? Ang panghuhula ginagawa sa una because you still don't have any data. So you just guess. You make an educated guess. It's called your hypothesis. It is a prediction between variables. If there is really a relationship between two variables, again, in research, we're trying to know if the variables are related or not. Okay? And you're trying to predict first. Before you do the research, you predict. You create a prediction. Okay? It is done during the conceptual phase. Okay? Or the start of research. Okay? Okay? At the start. No one does it in the end. Kasi hindi ka naman manghuhula sa dulo. Manghuhula ka sa una. Kasi sa una, wala ka pang alam. Kasi nagsisimula ka pa lang. Okay? Ayun. There are two types of hypothesis. You have your directional hypothesis and you have your non-directional hypothesis. When you say directional, it is an increase or decrease. So you will see the word increase, you will see the word decrease. Okay? Guys, if something increased, is that going to a specific direction? If something increased? Yes. But what about if it decreased? Is it going to a particular direction if it decreased? Is it going to a particular direction if it decreased? Abi malamang. Pababa. Hindi ba direction yung pababa? Kung direction ang pataas, syempre direction din ang pababa. Directional pa rin. More pataas. Less pababa. So, if these are the things or words you read or you have read, you know that you are reading a directional hypothesis. It is also called one-tailed. Later, we will find out why it is called one-tailed. But for now, we'll discuss non-directional. If I told you that one variable is associated with another variable, variable A is associated with variable B, do you know the direction where the relationship is going to? Does it tell you that something is increasing? Does it tell you that something is decreasing? When you read the word associated with? No. If you read the words related to, variable A is related to variable B, question, does it tell you that there is a direction in the relationship between these two variables? No. But you know there is a relationship. You know there is a relationship. You know, sabi, related to eh. So meron. Di ba? Pero kung saan papunta, we don't know. It doesn't say. That's why it's called non-directional. And it is two-tailed. Now, why do you say one-tailed, two-tailed? Okay, let's look at a cat. A cat has one tail. If the tail of the cat is at the right, do you know the direction where the cat will go to? Yes. Where will it go to if its tail is at the right side? Left or right? If the tail is at the right side, where will it go? Sir, nahihirapan kami sagutin yung tanong mo. O sige nga, try mo nga sagutin yung right. Sige nga, sagot mo nga right. Ganon, pa ganon. So to the right, ganyan. So if the tail is at the right, the cat will move to the right. Ibig sabihin yung pusa, naglalakad pabalik. Have you seen a cat walking backwards? Oh, I will ask the question again. If the tail is at the right, where is the cat going to? Left or right? Okay, masyadong nag-overthink. Simple lang to. Napaka-simple lang ng pinag-uusapan natin. E di papunta dito, to the left. Oh. So, alam mo yung direksyon. Di ba? Oh. Alam mo yung direksyon. Kasi, isa lang yung tail niya. But if it is two-tailed, will you know where the cat is going to? Halimbawa, the cat is like this. So, do you know where the cat is going to? If it is two-tailed. 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 1, 2. Bilangin natin. 1, 2. Will you know where the cat will go to? Di ba hindi? Kaya, anong tawag doon? Non-directional. That's the reason why non-directional is called two-tailed. Okay? Because you don't know where it's going to. As compared to one-tailed, it's very easy to see that the cat with the tail on the right is going to go to the left. Okay? Next. So let's have an example. Sedentary lifestyle increases risk for hypertension. Is it directional or is it non-directional? Does the hypothesis, or is the hypothesis guessing that there is a relationship between sedentary lifestyle and hypertension, yes or no? Is it guessing that there is a relationship between two variables? Is it guessing that there is a relationship between two variables? Yes or no? Is it guessing that there is a relationship? Okay. Una muna ha. Is it guessing something? Is it guessing something? Nanguhula ba siya dyan? Yes or no? Nanguhula ba siya dyan? Okay, nasan tayo? Anong topic natin? The difference between directional and non-directional hypothesis. Ano nga pala ang definition ng hypothesis? Hula. So, uulitin ko tanong. Nung ginawa niya yung statement na to, nanghuhula ba siya or sure na siya? Sure na ba siya? Or nanghuhula pa lang? Nanghuhula pa lang. Hypothesis pa lang tayo eh. Wala pa tayo sa conclusions. Directional hypothesis pa lang to. Hula. Babalik tayo. Hula. Malaki. Yes. So, lahat ng ginagawa natin dito, nanghuhula pa lang tayo dito. Wala pa tayong conclusions. Lahat ng pag-uusapan natin dito, puro panghuhula to. Okay. So, hinuhulaan ba niya dito na may relationship sa sedentary lifestyle at sa hypertension? Yes. At hinuhulaan din ba niya na tataas yung, kumbaga, pag binigay mo yung sedentary lifestyle, tataas yung risk for hypertension? Yes. So, kung may tumaas, directional, non-directional? Directional. Paano pag may bumaba? Di ganun pa rin. Direction pa rin naman yung pagbaba eh. Non-directional. Sedentary lifestyle is associated with hypertension. Hinuhulaan ba niya rito na ang sedentary lifestyle ay may relasyon kay hypertension? Yes or no? Yes. Hinuhulaan din ba niya kung kapag binigyan ng sedentary lifestyle or kapag may sedentary lifestyle, may mag-i-increase na hypertension or mag-decrease na hypertension? Part din ba yung nahula niya? Sinabi? Sinabi daw dyan mag-i-increase? Saan? Nasaan dyan? Wala naman eh. So, ano tawag sa kanya? Directional, non-directional? Non-directional. Okay? Now, let's have a difference between null and alternative. Pag sinabi naman natin null hypothesis, there is no significant difference, no relationship. So, madali lang, di ba? Basta kapag wala, null yan, automatic. Kapag wala, null yan. Eh, paano kapag meron? Alternative. Meron. Yun lang. Guys, mula na nagsimula tayo hanggang ngayon, yung mga pinag-uusapan natin, very basic, no? Very easy to understand. Okay? Kaya lang siguro natatakot tayo kasi pinapakomplika siya sa mga libro o kaya sa school, parang ang hirap-hirap intindihin. Eh, ganun lang naman pala yan eh. O kapag directional, may direksyon. Kapag non-directional, walang direksyon. Ang independent variable pala, eh, cause lang pala yun. Ang dependent variable, effect lang pala yun. Ang null pala, eh, wala. Ang alternative pala ay meron. Yun lang. Oh. So kapag null hypothesis, ibig sabihin walang relationship. Walang significant difference. At kung wala, ano ang number kapag wala? Ano ang number kapag wala? What is zero? Be, di ba wala is zero? Guys, wala is zero, di ba? O, 8, 0. Okay? O, sabi natin, alternative is meron. May relationship. O, there's actual relationship. There is a significant difference. Kapag sinabi bang there is a significant difference, meron yun? Meron ba yun? Ibig sabihin kapag there is a significant difference? Meron? Oo. Ang Tagalog niyan is mayroong malaking diferensya. Oo. Jadi meron. Di ba? Pag tinagalog mo to, may malaking diferensya. O kapag there is no significant difference, walang malaking diferensya. Walang malaking pinagkaiba. O, kung ang wala ay zero, ano yung meron? Kung ang wala ay zero, ano meron? Pag meron na, ano na, may number na? 1 na. E di yun, H1. Eh sabi alternative. HA. A, alternative. A, alternative. Next. Ito, hulaan nyo to. There is no relationship between sedentary lifestyle and hypertension. Null or alternative hypothesis? Null. Wala eh. Ito. There is a relationship between sedentary lifestyle and hypertension. Ano nakita mong word? Kaya sabi mo na alternative yan. Anong word ang nakita mo? Hindi mo pwede sabihin yung there is. Kasi there is. Eh, may there is din naman dito eh. May there is din naman dito. Pero iba yan. Null yan. Oh. There is a relationship. A relationship. Meron! Kasi kung wala, there is no. So yan. There is no is null. There is a is alternative. There is a relationship. Okay? O, napakadali, di ba? Dali lang yan. Okay? Let's go to chapter 2. Bago tayo mag-break, let's have our chapter 2. Okay. Can you remember what you did in chapter 2? Review of related literature. Anong ginagawa dito? Just to have a refresher. What do you do in review of related literature? What do you specifically do? Do you open your laptop or computer? Yes. Do you open Edge or Google Chrome? Yes. Do you Google research articles done by other people? Yes. Do you read what they're saying in the article? Yes. When you see something that could be relevant to your study, do you get it? Did you get it? Yes. Now, do you just copy paste and it's done? No. Why? Later we will find out. Okay? So that's what we do in RRL. We check other people's work. We see what is useful or relevant to us. And then we use it in our research. But there is a proper way to do it. Okay? So let's talk about it. So, a good research review of related literature has characteristics of COP-B. Okay. What are your COP-B? Okay. C, comprehensive. So, when you say comprehensive, it includes many, okay, research articles. Okay? So, it's not only one or two. Okay? You use a lot of research articles. Okay? When you say up to date, at most 5 years ago. So if it is already 2023 today, what year of publication should a research be? Should your oldest research to cite be? So can you cite a research that is published or that was published in 2015? Hindi. So, kailan pinaka-late? Pinaka-luma? 2013 minus 5. 2018. Next, paraphrased. If it is paraphrased, do you copy-paste it? Yes or no? Nakalagay dyan, X. Pag sinabing X, tama o mali? Mali. X nga eh. Di ba? Bawal. So how do you do? You paraphrase. Aside from paraphrasing, what else do you do? Paraphrasing is you reword. If you paraphrase, do you change the meaning of the sentence? Yes or no? If you paraphrase, do you change the meaning of the sentence? No. But do you change the words in the sentence? Yes. Okay, aside from paraphrasing, what else do you do? Cite. So when you say cite, what do you do? You mention the name of the author. You acknowledge, you recognize the name of the author. Usually it's just the surname or the family name. And let it be balanced. There should be no bias. Okay? So in doing RL, it has to be objective. Okay? Objective. Okay? Now, for the next slide, you have your types of sources. So I will show you an example and you will tell me if it is a secondary research or a secondary source or a primary source. Okay, so before that, I will first discuss. The primary source is a source that is the original study. So for example, you are checking Google and you're looking for a study that is relevant to your study. If the study you see or you used is an original study, then that study is considered the primary source. Now, sometimes you will encounter studies that use other studies. Sabi sabihin, yung ginamit mong source ay gumamit lang din ng ibang study. hindi niya original yun. Ang tawag doon is secondary source. The reports are based on an original study. Okay? Sige, so how do you do this? Let's have an example. Ay, iba ito. Okay. Look at this one. Just look at this part. This part. You don't need to look at anything else other than the one in the box. A critique of Konrad Lorenz's theory of instinctive behavior by Daniel Lerman. Question: if this is the study I encountered while looking for the RRL or the review of related literature, and I used this in my study as a source, what kind of source is this? This is my secondary or my primary source? Bakit sa secondary? Aside from the word critique. Kasi even without looking at the word critique, you will know. Even without the word critique, you will know. How? Who is the author of the study? Of the study you are looking at right now? Who is the author of the study? Daniel Lerman, right? Now, is it his original study? Yes or no? No. If you will read the title, A Critique of Konrad Lorenz's Theory of Instinctive Behavior. Question: if Konrad Lorenz was not born in this world, will Daniel S. Lerman be able to write this paper? If Konrad Lorenz was never born, he never lived, hindi siya pinanganak sa mundo, mabubuo kaya itong article na to? Yes or no? Hindi. Kasi para magawa niya to, kailangan magbase siya sa work ni Konrad Lorenz, which is the theory of instinctive behavior. So if Konrad Lorenz did not live, if he did not live, hindi siya nabuhay, kung wala si Konrad Lorenz, wala rin papel na to. So this is a secondary source because it is an article that is based on another article or a research based on another research. Now, if I'd like to do the primary, who will I directly go to? To whom will I directly go to? To Konrad. Okay? To Konrad. Because Konrad is the primary source. Okay? So Konrad Lorenz's is the primary source. Tapos, Daniel Lerman, this is the secondary source. So the answer to the question is, you are looking at a secondary source. But if you want to really go to a primary source, that would be Konrad Lorenz. Okay, so that's it. So that's, if you try to read the definition, it's quite difficult. But if you were given an example like this, it would be very easy to understand. Now, which is better? Is it the primary source or secondary source? Primary or secondary source, which is better? Which is stronger? Which is more preferred? Primary. Okay? So, primary is greater. Hindi po yan arrow. That is a greater than sign. It means that the primary is greater than or better than secondary. Next. Okay, so before we go to chapter 3, I would like to have a break first. 15-minute break po kung kaya. 15-minute break na? Sige. So let's be back after 15 minutes. Thank you. Hello. Sige. So we're now done with chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now we will go to chapter 3, guys. So chapter 3 is the methodology. So what do we talk about in methodology? In methodology, we talk about the research designs. Okay? We talk about sampling. Yan. So these are the two things we should be focusing in our methodology. Before doing research, we must first know what design we should do. Okay? Kasi hindi naman lahat ng design ay pare-pareho. There is an appropriate design for an appropriate study. Okay, so we will now talk about that. So let's go to the next slide. Let's go with the quantitative research design. So just to clarify, ano nga pala yung mga characteristics ng quantitative design? What are the characteristics of a quantitative design? So it has to be empirical, logical, planned. You use numbers, statistics, and it is controlled. Okay? You want to control it so that you would reduce the confounding variables. Kasi ayaw natin yun eh. Okay? So you have your quantitative. So for the purpose of discussion, quantitative po ang pag-uusapan natin. No? So we will not go to qualitative na lang. So kasi kulang din tayo sa oras, no? For that. So focus tayo sa quantitative. So the most important, the strongest design is your experimental design. Okay? It is also called your randomized controlled trial. Again, what is the other term for experimental design? RCT. So when you hear or when you read the word RCT, you know that it is called randomized controlled trial, which is the same as experimental design. Okay? Now, this is the strongest design among all quantitative designs. Among all quantitative designs, this is the strongest. Why? Because it possesses, it contains, it has 3 elements. How many elements? 3. Ano-ano yun? You have your C, your R, and your M. So guys, kailangan ba kompleto ang CRM para masabi mo na experimental siya? Yes, kailangan. Okay, kailangan kompleto. Again, it has to be complete. It has to be kompleto. Okay? So if letter C is missing in your elements, is it still experimental? Yes or no? Is it still experimental? Yes or no? Okay. Hindi na. Kasi kailangan niya kompleto eh. Diba? So kung may nawala ng isa, hindi na siya kompleto. Ulit. The elements of your experimental design are CRM. So kung may kulang na isa, experimental pa rin ba siya? Hindi na kasi nga, sabi nga natin, kailangan kumpleto. Okay? Ano ba yung CRM na yan? O, C, control. Control group, okay, is used for comparison. So you have a control group. And the reason why you have a control group is you will use them for comparison or for baseline data. Okay? So the control group, there are 3 things you can do to a control group. You can do nothing to them. Yan, wala kang gagawin. Wala, no treatment. O, TX is treatment. So, walang binigay. Walang binigay. In English, no treatment. Okay, English na yan, kaya tinagalog ko na lang. Next, you gave an alternative treatment. Ano naman ang Tagalog ng alternative treatment? May ibang binigay. Meaning, aside from the main treatment, you also gave an alternative treatment. Or, you could also give to a control group a placebo. What is a placebo? A placebo is false treatment. Okay? A placebo is false treatment. So meaning, does it have a therapeutic value? Does the placebo have a therapeutic value? No. Okay? So if you gave an alternative treatment to a group, that group is what group? If you gave an alternative treatment to a group, what do you call the group? If you gave an alternative treatment to a group, what do you call the group? It's in red. It is all caps. It is bold. Control. If you gave a placebo to a group, what do you call the group? Control group. If you did nothing to a group, what do you call the group? Control. Kasi ito yung tatlong bagay na pwede mong gawin sa control. Okay? Next, number 2. So you have your C control. CRM, di ba? C control. R, randomization. When we say randomization, there is random assignment to experimental and control groups. This is very important because if you randomize the experimental and control groups, you make them equivalent. Again, if you randomize the experimental and control groups, you make them equivalent. Meaning, you were able to cancel confounding variables. Okay? So pag tinanong ka, what research element should you do if you want to cancel the confounding variables? Okay? Again, what research element should you do in order to cancel the confounding variables? The answer to the question is randomization. Okay? Now, sir, you have already discussed to us the control group. Again, what are the 3 things you can do to a control group? No treatment, alternative treatment, or placebo. Did I mention anything about main treatment? The main event, yung pinaka-treatment, did I mention anything about it? Wala. Kasi hindi naman kay control binibigay yon. What do you call the group that receives the main treatment? Not the alternative, the main. The experimental. The experimental group is the group that receives the main treatment. Later, we will talk about this, okay? In the next slide. Okay, so your C is control, your R is randomization, your M is, okay, your C is control, your R is randomization, your M is manipulation. What is manipulation? What is the Tagalog word for manipulation? Manipulation. In Tagalog, manipulation is ginalaw. Ginalaw. Okay, ginalaw mo siya. Ginalaw mo siya. Okay, you manipulated it. Ginalaw mo. Okay? So, it means may gagawin ka. Okay? You will give treatment to them. Okay? So, you will give treatment to whom? What group ulit? What group? The experimental group. Very good. So, if you gave treatment to a group, that group is called the experimental group. Treatment is also called your intervention. Okay? What is intervention or treatment? Intervention or treatment is anything you give. Anything you give. Okay, what's the definition of treatment? Anything you give. Question. You gave the group a drug. Is it a treatment? Yes or no? Yes. You gave the group, each one, a cup of coffee. Is it a treatment? Yes. You gave everyone a punch in the face. That treatment. Yes. Anything you give nga, guys. Okay? Anything you give. You gave somebody a milk tea. Is that a treatment? Yes. Binigyan mo ang isang tao ng sama ng loob. Is that a treatment? Yes. Lahat ng binibigay. Pero yung suntok, although it's a treatment, is it an ethical treatment? Well, syempre hindi, di ba? Okay, masama yun. Pero technically, it's a treatment, but it's an unethical one. Okay? So yan, the point is anything you give. Kasi baka iniisip ng iba, treatment lang yan pag gamot yan. Well, in research, hindi ganun. In research, anything is treatment. Kahit pinakain mo yung lupa, treatment yun. Okay? And if you do that, what is the process of giving treatment? What is the process of giving treatment? Manipulation. Andiyan pa ba kayo? Pati yung mata ko affected eh. Makatilim pati mata ko. Sagot kayo guys. Mahirap na walang kausap. Okay, so quasi experimental is almost. Almost. So ibig sabihin, experimental ba talaga siya? When you say quasi experimental, is it really experimental? Yes or no? If quasi means almost, is quasi-experimental really an experimental design? Sige, medyo ano na. Medyo antok na natin mga tao. Sige, tapusin ko na lang. Pag na magtanungan, basta tapusin na lang to. Okay, so quasi is almost. Meaning, kung almost siya, hindi siya totoo. Di ba? Kasi quasi almost lang eh. Di ba? Okay? Okay. Almost lang eh. Kapag ba sinabi mo, bang, parang ang baliw. Sabihin mo nung baliw talaga siya. Parang ganun, di ba? Ganun. So, absence of randomization. Ibig sabihin, the reason why it is just almost, the reason why bakit hindi siya talaga totoo experimental is because hindi siya kompleto. Di ba sabi natin kanina, kailangan kompleto, kailangan meron kang control, meron kang randomization, meron kang manipulation. Dito sa quasi-experimental, absent ang randomization. Wala ka ditong randomization, which means na quasi lang siya, kulang siya. Kung kanina sa experimental, the experimental and control groups are equivalent. Dito, dahil ikaw ay hindi nag-randomize, non-equivalent siya. So, ibig sabihin ba na-cancel natin yung confounding variables? Hindi po. Cannot cancel confounding variables. So, if sa ating pong experimental, na-cancel natin ang confounding variable, pero sa quasi-experimental, hindi natin na-cancel ang confounding variable, alam natin ang confounding variable, masama ito eh. Saan kaya mas malakas? Yung na-cancel o hindi na-cancel yung confounding variable? Sa na-cancel. Sa nga ba na-cancel? Sa experimental. And therefore, experimental is greater than quasi-experimental. Greater than sign po yan, hindi po yan arrow. Experimental is greater than quasi-experimental. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Non-experimental. Non-experimental, okay, walang manipulation dito. So, ibig sabihin, kung wala kang manipulation, wala ka rin binigay na treatment. So, kung wala kang binigay na treatment, hindi mo siya ginalaw. So, ibig sabihin, dito, researchers are just bystanders or observers. Ito pinakasikat sa nursing eh. So, halimbawa, nag-perform ka ng survey. Nung college kayo, siguro ang ginawa niyo ng research, nag-perform ng survey, no? Nag-questionnaire, Nagpasagot kayo ng questionnaire. Nung nagpasagot ba kayo ng questionnaire, meron ba kayong pinagkaloob sa kanila? No, ito, i-take mo to. Ito, gawin mo to. Wala. Nagpasagot lang kayo. Pero wala kayong binigay na treatment. So therefore, sa pagkakataon na yun, observers lang tayo. Okay? And therefore, it is a non-experimental design. Okay? So, alin dito ang weakest among the three between experimental, experimental and non-experimental? The weakest is the non-experimental. Okay, next, sampling. Sabi natin, this is also part of your research methodology, sampling. Now, when we say sampling, why do we do sampling? We do sampling because we cannot survey or we cannot collect data from everyone. Can you collect data from the whole Philippines? So it's just common sense that you cannot, and therefore you just need to take a part of it. So you're selecting a portion of the population. Okay, so what do you call the portion? It's called sample. So yung malaki, yung lahat, yung everybody, ang tawag doon ay population. Lahat ng tao sa Pilipinas, halimbawa, yan yung population. Sinabi nga natin, hindi mo naman kayang isurvey yung buong Pilipinas. Kaya kukuha ka lang ng bahagi ng Pilipinas at ang tawag doon ay sample. The population is big N and the sample is small n. So, kaya ka may symbols dyan kasi we will be using that to compute later on. But before that, what is the goal in sampling? Okay, so if I cut a cake like this, if I slice a cake like this, will it be good? No, it will not be good. Bakit will it not be good? Kasi you will not be able to get all the layers of the cake. So hindi natin gusto yan. So gusto natin kapag kumuha tayo ng part ng cake, makuha natin lahat ng slice. Okay? So just like in sampling, if we sample, ayaw natin na makuha lang yung selected parts, hindi pwede. Kailangan makuha natin iba't ibang parts ng population. Okay? Kasi, kapag hindi mo nakuha yung ibang parts, pag hindi mo na-capture yung ibang parts, okay, ano pwede mangyari? Magkakabias. Diba? There will be bias. And therefore, you should try to get all the parts. And what do you call that? That's called the representativeness. The sample was able to represent the population. The sample can represent the population. Okay? Just like how the second slice of cake represented the whole cake. Halimbawa, kung gusto mong kumuha ng sample from a class of students, pwede ba tayong ang kunin nating sample ay top 10, top 1, top 2, top 3, top 4, top 5, top 6, top 7, top 10? Hindi pwede. Kasi, sabi nga natin, kailangan kumuha ka ng iba-ibang parte. Siyempre, kung kukunin mo lang yung top 10, siyempre, makukuha mo lang yung mga matataas yung grades. E paano yung mga middle? Paano yung mga lower level grades? So they also have to be represented. Kaya kapag gano'n, mali yun. Dapat lahat ng parte ma-representa. Representativeness. Ngayon, so that's the goal. Ngayon, let's talk about sample size. Sabi natin, magsa-survey tayo. Kapag nag-survey ba tayo, dapat ba alam natin kung ilan yung kailangan i-survey? Siyempre, baka mamaya naka-survey ka na ng 3,000. Tapos ang kailangan mo lang naman pala 100. Eh bakit gano'n? Nagkaganon? Eh kasi hindi nag-compute. Di ba? Sumurvey lang ilan yung kailangan i-survey. Paano malalaman kung ilan ang target? Hello? Copy pa rin? Ang formula dito ay sample is equal to population divided by 1 plus NE squared. Iisa-isahin natin to. Una, the first step, 4 steps lang to. 4 steps. 4 basic steps. Ano ba yung E? E is the margin of error. It will be given. The first step is to square, letter E. Ano mong ibig sabihin kapag ini-square mo yung isang bagay? Do you multiply it by 2 or do you multiply it by itself? Anong sabi sa first year high school algebra? Multiply by 2, multiply by itself. Multiply by itself. So, ibig sabihin, E times E. Okay? E times E. Yan ang first step. Next. Kapag multiply mo dyan, sunod mo gagawin ay i-multiply mo kay letter N na malaki. Ano nga ba to? Population or sample? Itong big N. Population. Sunod. Step 3 is to plus it to 1. Plus 1 lang yan ha. Plus 1. Dali lang yung plus 1. Sunod. Kapag na-plus mo na sa 1, yung population sa taas, i-divide mo. Doon sinakuha mo sa nasa baba. Okay, so for the next slide, we will have an example. We will have an example. An example. So, you will have to compute. I will give you some time to compute. So, this is the process. 4 steps. You can use a calculator. In the exam, there's also a calculator. So, E times E. Tapos, times N. Plus 1. So, may number ka na dito sa baba. Yung big N, i-divide mo sa number sa nakuha mo sa baba. Okay? Okay, so if this is your given, the population is at 100. The margin of error is 5%. You cannot use this, no? 5%. I-convert mo muna siya sa decimal form. Anong decimal ng 5%? 0.05. Hindi 0.5. Kasi pag 0.5, 50% yun. Hindi naman 50%, 5% lang. Sige, so I'll give you some time to answer and after that, please chat yung answer. Thank you. Okay, so paano ito computein? So it's your given, and this is your margin of error. So just plug in the values, no? 800 divided by 1 plus 800 times 0.05 squared. Sabi natin, first step is 0.05 times 0.05 is equal to 0.0025. 0.0025 times 800 is equal to 2 plus 1, 3. 800 divided by 3 is 267. Okay? So, yun yung ating formula, no? So, we just followed what we have talked about in the previous one. Next. Isa pa. So, halimbawa, 1,200, margin of error 5. Paano yan? So, this is given. You plug in the values. 1,200 divided by 1 plus 1,200 times 0.05 squared. 0.05 squared is equal to 0.0025. So, una mo step lagi is 2 squared. Okay? Kapag nakuha mo ni square, tsaka mo siya i-multiply sa katabi niya. Big N. Pagkatapos nun, plus mo na siya sa 1. Okay? Kapag na-plus mo na, ilagay mo sunod. I-divide mo na. Okay? So, madali lang, di ba? So, yan po yung ating Sloven's formula. Ito yung gagamitin mo. Ibig sabihin, kung ang population ay 1,200 at yung sample mo ay 300, ibig sabihin, out of 1,200, ang kailangan mo lang i-survey ay 300. Okay? Next. Paano naman kapag qualitative? Eh sabi natin sa qualitative, hindi naman nagko-compute. So kung hindi nagko-compute sa qualitative, how do you know if the sample is already complete? We check for data saturation. Okay? We check for data saturation. Data saturation means that there is repetitive data. So if it is already repetitive, the data keeps on repeating itself, then meaning the data is now saturated. And it means that, okay, you have to stop data collection. Okay? Because data is adequate already. Kompleto na or sapat na siya. Okay? Kasi the fact na nag-uulit-ulit siya, ibig sabihin, you will not be able to get new ideas and new data because you have already obtained all of it. Okay? So, walang specific number. Walang specific na number tulad ng sa quantitative, no? But, papakiramdaman mo lang o obserbahan mo lang kung kailan ba umuulit-ulit na. Kasi kapag umuulit-ulit na, it means kompleto na yung data mo. Okay? Next slide. Types of sampling. So, we now know the goal of sampling, representativeness. We now know how to know the sampling size or sample size. Kapag quantitative, Sloven's, kapag qualitative, data saturation. Now, let's talk about types of sampling. How many types of sampling do you have? You have 2 types of sampling. You have your non-probability and you have your probability. You have your non-probability and you have your probability. What's the difference between the two? When we say non-probability, non-random. Okay. In research, what do you want? Random or non-random? In research, you want random. Gusto mo, labo-labo. Gusto mo, magulo. Bakit? Kasi, it removes the bias. The more random, the less bias. Okay? Ganun din naman. The less random, the more bias. So, ibig sabihin, Kung sa non-probability sampling, it is non-random. Question, what's the bias here, high or low? If it is non-random, as I've said, if more random, less bias. Less random, more bias. So kung non-random, the bias is high. And therefore, not all can be included. And there's low representativeness. So gusto natin, di ba, ang representativeness mataas, pero dito mababa. Okay, next. So let's try to compare it to the probability sampling. Ang probability sampling naman, random siya. So therefore, ang sinabi ko kanina dito? Hindi ko maalala. Ang sabi ko kanina dito? High bias, tama. Okay, so ang probability naman ay random. And because it is random, it is less bias. Okay, and therefore, all can be included and high representativeness. So if you were to choose, would you choose a probability type of sampling or would you choose a non-probability? So based on what we have discussed, the better type of sampling is the probability sampling. Okay, next. Data collection methods. What are the data collection methods? So we will discuss 3 types. So first is observation. Observation is use of rating scales and checklists. This is very familiar to us because during nursing school, our clinical instructors would be sitting inside a room. There is a mannequin, and once you enter the room, the CI will tell you, perform Foley catheterization to this mannequin, perform nasogastric tube insertion, and the CI is holding a piece of paper. That piece of paper is your performance evaluation checklist. And for her or him to check a specific item, you should be able to demonstrate it. So what does the CI do? The CI is observing you. Okay? And while observing you, she is using rating scales and checklists to grade you. So yun ang observation. You can also do this in research. Now, what's the problem? The problem is people who know that they're being observed will try to change their behavior. This is called your Hawthorne effect. Have you ever tried once in your life that you tried to be the best you can be because somebody is watching you? Diba? In Tagalog, nagpakitang gilas, nagpasikat. Diba? So therefore, yun yung Hawthorne effect. Okay? So, hindi mo na makikita yung accurate na behavior ng tao. Kasi ang nakita mo na, yung behavior na pabibo. Eh, hindi naman siya normally ganun. Kaya lang niya ginawa, kasi alam niyang may nanonood sa kanya. So, problem yan. Diba? There is an increased bias there. Okay? So, this is your change in behavior due to awareness of being observed. Nag-iba yung ugali dahil alam niyang pinapanood siya, ginalingan niya, halimbawa. Okay? So, yan. So, observations are good, but the problem usually is the Hawthorne effect. Okay? Or the change in behavior due to being aware of being observed. Okay? Next po. Self-report. Ito yung common nung kaya college. The subject will make self-reports. May tanong ka, sasagutin nila. Halimbawa, questionnaire. Diba sa questionnaire may mga tanong? And the subject would have to answer that. Okay? So, self-report ang tawag dyan. Most common ang self-reports, ha? Sa tatlong pag-uusapan natin, most common to. What else? interview. Self-report din yan. And of course, focus group discussion. Okay? So, ang focus group kasi is group talaga siya, maraming tao. Kaya lang, pwede ba halimbawa 20 people, 30 people, 10 people, hindi. Meron lang tayong um, maximum tsaka minimum. Okay? So, hindi po pwede kung anong gusto mo. Gusto ko 3. Gusto ko 15. Gusto ko 21. Hindi. So, there is a minimum and maximum. Minimum of 5 persons, maximum of 10 persons. Bakit minimum of 5? Kasi kailangan mag-interact yung group. Baka pag less than 5, walang masyadong makuha. Kapag naman more than 10, baka naman sobrang gulo na. Diba? So maganda yung gitna lang. 5 to 10. Okay? And then the third one of data collection is the biophysiologic measures. The biophysiologic measures are your clinical findings. There are two things or two ways to measure the biophysiology of a person. It's either through physical exam, okay, or laboratory. Okay? Tests. So may dalawang paraan, ano? Pwede mo siyang makita sa pamamagitan ng physical exam or pwede sa pamamagitan ng lab tests. Ngayon, meron tayong dalawang klase ng biophysiologic measures. Meron tayong in vivo, in vitro. Pag sinabing in vivo, it is within the body. So, if you want to measure in vivo, hindi mo siya dapat tanggalin sa katawan. It's within the body. But in vitro is extracted. So, kailangan mo siyang ilabas. Kailangan mo siyang tanggalin from the body. Okay. Sige. So, respiratory rate, vivo vitro, it does not have to be removed from the body. So, vivo. ABG in vitro. Why is ABG in vitro? Because you need to extract arterial blood to have this examined. Blood pressure, vivo. Urinalysis, pro. CBC, vitro. It has to be extracted, no? Arterial blood din ba ang CBC? Arterial blood din ba ang CBC? Yeah. CBC is venous blood. Venous blood. Water saturation, vivo. Temperature, vivo. And ER, a pulse rate, vivo. Okay? So, ganun siya. Okay, guys. So, we're done with our lecture for today. You will have your post-test kasi maaga pa naman. And then, after taking your post-tests, I will be back. No? So, pasabi na lang kapag tapos na kayo para i-rationalize ko, ha? Okay, good luck with your post-test po. Thank you. Okay, guys, let's answer na po. So, number 1, it is a systematic discipline inquiry. A goal of clinical nursing research is to, sabi natin, the goal is to improve quality of life. Tama? So, if you want to improve quality of life, the answer here is C, improve quality of life. Okay? C is the answer, improve the quality of life. Next, number 2. Nurse Alicia is conducting a study to determine the environmental factors that affect the satisfaction of patients in their hospital. She plans to utilize the results in order to create changes in their health facility. So, hindi lang niya inalam. Kung hindi, in-apply din niya yung kaalaman niya. Okay? Into doing something. Therefore, guys, the answer here is applied research. Number 2 answer is Davy. Next, number 3. Quantitative research is different from qualitative research in all ways except. So, ano yung mali dito? Anong mali dito? The answer here is, wait, no? Pag sinabi ba natin except, ang hinahanap ay yung mali. Tama? So, ano yung mali dito? A. Tingnan mo yung A, oh. Kung papansinin mo si letter A, maling-mali siya. Sabi, quantitative research is based on numerical narrative. So, mali yung narrative, no? Narrative daw si quanti. Tapos, quali is objective. No. Hindi rin yan. So, mali-mali si A. Lahat ng kamalian, nakita natin kay A. Kaya siya yung tamang sagot. Siya yung mali. Number 3 answer is awit. Next, number 4. Participant in your study is asking if you can provide him the treatment dosage 5 times higher than prescribed. Pwede kaya ibigay? Hindi, because the priority is safety, tama? The answer is no. Explain that the priority of the study is to protect the safety of participants at all times, no? Number 4, charot, because it is the only option that has the word safety, which is very important. Number 5 pala. Which is the following activities is truly involved in reviewing the RRL. So, kaya 5 years ago, dapat, di ba, hindi 20. So, mali yan. Copying passages and statements from the original text directly, hindi. It's going to be plagiarism. That's wrong. C, synthesizing existing literature and relating it to the current study. Tama, no? So, it is your comprehensive. Ibig sabihin, comprehensive siya. Yung tinasabi natin comprehensive. Part of your top B. Top B, letter C is comprehensive. So, tama siya. Adding subjective inputs at the end of the section, yan po ay wrong because that is bias. Okay? So, the answer in our question is letter C. Sarap is the answer. Okay? Next, number 6. An ICU nurse taking up her master's degree came up with the research titled Effects of Hospital Visitation on Anxiety Among ICU Patients in Cebu for her thesis, which is the independent variable. Sabi natin ang independent variable is the cause. As the cause here. Therefore, the IV. The hospital visit. And what is the effect? And therefore, the DV. The answer is anxiety. So, as we have labeled, okay, number 6 would have the answer of IV ang hinahanap. So, hospital visit. 6 answer is study. So, if we will go to number 7, it's the same case. Pero ang tinatanong naman dito ay the dependent variable. And what is the dependent variable here? The anxiety, number 7. Huh? Number 8. A nursing student wanted to study whether health education affects the knowledge on self-care practices among patients with DM. The following is independent variable. Sige, let's try to determine this. Ano yung cause? The IB is the knowledge. Health education pala. Health education. And therefore, the DV is the knowledge on self-care practices. Yun ang pinaka-perfect answer. Nasa option ba natin yung perfect answer na ito? Yung DV. Wala ano. Pero yung IB meron. IB naman ang hinahanap eh. So yung IB natin, nandito naman. So number 9 answer is health education. Tapos number 9, ito nga sinasabi natin, wala kasi itong DV na to, yung knowledge on self-care practices. So anong mas pipiliin natin? Is it the knowledge or is it the self-care practices? We will choose knowledge. Kasi ang tinatanong dito, yung pinakakaalaman niya. Hindi yung practice mismo, but the knowledge of the practice. Huh? Number 9 answer is charot. Number 10. Which is the dependent variable in the following? The role of feedback in enhancing students' academic performance in colleges. So feedback is the IV and academic performance is the DV. Feedback is the IV and academic performance is the DV. Therefore, in our situation, what is the dependent variable? The answer is academic performance. Eh, tinanong sa pangalawang question, ano na yung independent variable sa number 11? And we already know that this is the cause, the feedback. Number 11, the answer is feedback. Okay? Feedback. Okay, so number 11, charot, feedback is the answer. Next, number 12. Given the research title, the relationship between clinical performance and years of experience, alin dito yung cause? Yung pinagsanhi, no? Is it the years of experience or is it the clinical performance? What do you consider as the cause? We will consider the cause, the years of experience, no? Siya yung dahilan kung bakit magaling na siya sa research, magaling na siya sa clinical performance. The reason why magaling na siya sa clinical performance is because of the years of experience. Huh? And therefore, the independent variable is siyempre siya yung cause. And the cause is years of experience. Huh? The answer is Daddy. Next, number 13. Which of the following biophysiologic measures is considered as in vivo? Sabi natin, pag in vivo, it is within. So is platelet count within? No, it is extracted. So vitro. CBC is also in vitro. Tissue biopsy is also in vitro. Number 13, the answer is CT scan. CT scan is in vivo. Number 14, the following statements is true regarding sampling. Non-probability is better than probability. Mali. Sinabi natin, prob is better than non-prob. Prob has high representativeness. Tama to. Non-prob sampling gives a chance for all to be selected. Sabi natin, pag non-prob, not all have the chance. Mali. Probability sampling involves non-random? Hindi. Ano bang meron pag probability? Random. Yan. The answer number 14 is baby. Probability sampling has high representativeness. Number 15. What should be included in the scholarly literature? Pinag-usapan na natin to. Primary and secondary sources. No? Yung primary is if your source is the original study. Secondary is if your source also used another study as basis. Yung parang si Daniel Lerman tsaka si Ano? Si Lorenz. 16 is the following is an example of a primary source in a research study. Sabi natin dito, original article. Original. It has to be original, di ba? Okay. It has to be original. Nalilito ko dito sa annotations. Bago pa lang sa akin. Sanay din ako. Okay, so number 16, Daddy. Bakit hindi pwedeng a published commentary on findings of another study? Kitang-kita natin na ito ay secondary. Secondary. A doctoral dissertation that critiques all research in the area of attention. It's also a secondary. May nagtanong sa atin, bakit po yung textbook hindi siya primary? Tanong, ang textbook po ba, nung sinulat ba yung textbook, galing ba lahat yun sa utak ng gumawa ng libro? Diba, hindi. Sobrang daming resources para makagawa ka ng libro. Kaya kung mabubukas ka ng libro, tingnan mo pinakalikod, sobrang dami. Ilang pages ng pinagkuhanan. So that's definitely not primary anymore. So textbooks are considered as tertiary. No? Napakarami niya ng pinagbasihan. Number 16 answers that. So tertiary, we don't use that anymore. So we don't use, usually we don't use books as resources in research. Like, halimbawa, bubukas ka ng Bruner, tapos si Bruner yung gagamitin mo reference sa thesis mo. We don't do that. No, we don't do that. Kasi masyado ng malayo. No? We don't use textbooks as resources in research. In making thesis, dissertations, we don't use textbooks. Masyado ng malayo. Tertiary na siya. So we only use primary or secondary. Number 17, which statement best describes qualitative research? Studies are conducted in natural settings. Tama. Pinag-usapan natin yan. Data are collected from large number of subjects, quantitative. Tend to be numeric, quantitative. Research design, systematic, objective, quantitative. So basically the answer is awit. Okay. Number 17, awit. Number 18. Which of the following phrases would be found in a report of a qualitative study? Okay, so hypothesis is usually quantity. We don't use hypothesis in quali. The perceived pain was measured using Abbott pain scale. So kapag pain scale, nag-scoring ba tayo dito? Oo, di ba? May scoring tayo dyan. So quantity yan. Basta pag may kailangan ka mag-score, ibig sabihin kailangan magbilang. Kung kailangan magbilang, automatic quantity yun. The control group received no instruction. Saan nga pala tayo nakakakita ng mga control group? Magbigay nga kayo ng halimbawa ng design na may control group. Experimental, sabi nyo sa yung last night. Saan nga palang topic yung experimental? As kung babalikan nyo yung ating pinag-usapan kanina, it is in what kind of research design? Quanti or quali? Ang ating experimental designs ay quanti. So the answer in number 18 is that perceptions of pain. Perception of pain. So ito, dahil perception siya, could you consider this as human experience? Yes, perception, yung feeling lang, yung pakiramdam. So you don't have to score anything. You just have to tell the story of your pain. So pag storytelling, narration, quality. The following elements of research question exam. Ano nga pala yung 4 na elements ng research question natin? The third. Saan ginagamit yun? Regular research or sa EBP? Regular research. No? So, hindi naman kasama yung operational definition. Meron kang population, independent variable, relationship, dependent variable, but you do not have an operational definition in your research question. 19, Bailey. And for the last item, which criteria is used to determine the testability of a hypothesis? So, ang hypothesis ba kailangan malinaw? Yes. Okay? So, para maging malinaw, it has to be stated in such a way that it can be clearly supported or not supported. Ang hypothesis, di ba, hula siya sa simula ng study. Dapat, at the end of the study, it's either accept mo siya or reject. Yun lang naman ang pinagpipilian natin dyan. So, it's either yung hypothesis mo, i-accept mo, or i-reject mo. So, kailangan malinaw siya. So, yan. Yun lang. So, ano, naka-perfect ba? Perfect, no? Pag nakinig, perfect kasi lahat lumabas. Lahat ng pinag-usapan natin lumabas dito. Very good, 19/20. So, yan. Sige. So, I hope guys natuto po kayo for today's session. Have a nice Saturday, everyone. And thank you very much. Sige, bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Lawrence.
Thank you so much po, sir. Thank you po, nurses. Nurses, huwag po natin kalimutan na ilagay sa tracking card po yung mga scores natin. And don't forget po na mag-evaluate po ng lecturer. And if ever po na may concern po kayo, kindly form lang po dun sa concerning form po natin. Fill up lang po tayo. Thank you so much, nurses. Thank you so much po, sir. God bless po. Happy Saturday po. Thank you.